Hi guys, I wanted to do a video on order of operations. Um, I'm seeing a lot of mistakes with this, and from kind of last week, and I know my seventh graders in White Track, you're going to do what I'm going to call the GEMDAS puzzle this week, and so I just wanted to give you a little bit extra to make sure that you don't get confused. Order of operations is something that we really use forever in math. So it's something that we can always kind of come back to, always make sure that you understand it and kind of check in. So I'm going to give you just a quick review on it, and then we're going to do some you try problems. When we get to the you try problems part, I really want you to pause the video and try those problems on your own. Even if you get them wrong, it's good practice to see where you're going wrong. This isn't something I can teach you and then you just get. It's something you have to practice, okay? More than a lot of the other things we do in math. Because I can't teach you what to do in every single situation. I can give you rules, and then you have to approach every single problem by really looking at those rules, okay? So let's do just a quick review. I like to call it GEMDAS. Okay, so I call it GEMDAS and not PEMDAS, and I always separate it like this for a couple reasons. So let's go ahead and start with G. So what G stands for is grouping, okay? So anything that's inside of parentheses, anything that's inside of brackets, or anything that's underneath a square root symbol, you do the math there first. So what I mean by that is if I actually have numbers inside, okay, obviously I just made those up. If I actually have numbers inside, I have to do those numbers first. So with this, I would need to do 3 plus 2 and make it a 5, and then use a 5 for the rest of the problem. Here, when I get inside of these grouping symbols, I have GEMDAS all over again. I don't just get inside and kind of just start doing math. I get inside the grouping symbols and I go back over this order. I start back with grouping and move to exponents and look for multiplication and division and addition and subtraction. So in this case, I would need to do 2 squared because it's an exponent. Then look for multiplication and division, which there is none, then do my addition and subtraction. So realize grouping doesn't just mean I go inside of these symbols and then just do what I want. I have to start that over back at the top. Okay, so there's nothing you do in this math that you don't sit and think about and go through your steps. Okay, as soon as I see students kind of jump in and do what maybe feels natural, that's where I see people make mistakes. So slow down and ask yourself, do I have these things? And go through your order. Okay, so down here I'd have to do the 4 times 1 first. All right, so E is for exponents. And I don't see students mess this up too often because it's pretty obvious here that a 2 squared is 4. So we don't need to write 2 squared anymore. Let's just write 4. Okay, if I was 16 years old, I wouldn't be going around telling people I'm 4 squared years old. I would just say I'm 16 because we know it means the same thing. So to say 16, just to write the number, makes more sense in math and in real life. Okay, so when I see exponents in the problem, I kind of work through the whole problem and I change all the exponents to being the real number. So I would come here and I would immediately change that to being a 4. Okay. All right, multiplication and division, addition and subtraction. We don't really go in this order. We look for all the multiplication, all of the multiplication, which could be dots, it could be X, it could be parentheses. And I look for all the division, which could be division signs, could be fractions, and I go left to right. And when you're doing this, you're skipping over anything that's addition and subtraction, and you're leaving those signs still sitting there, so that when you're done with this step, anything left, unless your problem's done, should have a positive sign or a negative sign in front of it. We call it addition and subtraction, But as soon as that's the only thing left, now we go back to going, okay, these are positive numbers and negative numbers. Okay? So again, we look for all the addition, all the subtraction, and we go left to right. So hopefully I've covered something that maybe you were doing wrong or you were looking at wrong. And now let's try some practice problems. So I'm going to put the problems up. You're going to pause. You're going to try them. And then you're going to turn me back on, and I will tell you how you did, okay? So I want to start with just one problem. This was a quiz question that I saw a lot of students miss. So let's review it. So here it was. Okay, so why don't you pause? Try the problem. Hopefully you tried it. Okay, so when I'm looking at this problem, the first thing that I'm looking for is parentheses, and there are none. Okay, so the next thing that I need to change is this 4 squared. So everything that I am not doing anything with, all of this math, I leave. I leave that negative. I don't want to change any signs. And then I do a 4 squared, which is 4 times 4, 16. Okay, now I have to start back up at the top. Sometimes I see students, they do one step and then they're like, okay, let's do 4 plus 3. You can't forget your rules. You got to start all the way back. Okay, so we've looked for grouping. We got our exponents. Now we're looking for multiplication and division, and I have it right here. So I need to do that first. So leave the 4 and the positive sign. Leave this negative 16 and get this done. So 3 times 4 is 12. Okay, so I have that done. So now I look for addition and subtraction. And there's addition and subtraction. I do not necessarily do the addition and then the subtraction. That is a big mistake. I have to go left to right. In this case, the addition is on the left and the negative sign is on the right, so I can go in order. So 4 plus 12 is 16 minus 16 equals 0. All right? So those of you that missed this on your quiz, hopefully it makes a little more sense. And for everybody else, hopefully you got that one right. And if you didn't, let's try a few more. Okay, so I'm going to put up some problems. I'll tell you when to pause, and then you can work them out. Okay, pause. Hopefully you did the problems. Make sure you tried them. Even if you get them wrong, that's okay. Try them, because then when you see me do it, you'll see kind of what you're doing wrong. Okay. I'm going to write this one in the bottom so that I have plenty of space. I just wanted you to try them both. Okay, so we'll come back to that one. All right, let's look at this. So we have to do what's inside our parentheses first. So that means I have to write everything else that I'm not doing anything to and just add what's in my parentheses. And I think it's really important that you take that step to write everything else the same exact way it was. Okay, I bring everything down. Sometimes students try to do too many steps at once, and that's where I see people make mistakes, okay? So 2 plus 3 is 5. All right, so our G is done. Because now, if you look here, it's just a 5 inside. There's nothing more to do with it. So our grouping is technically done. I usually leave my parentheses. You can take them out at this point, but sometimes it's nice to leave them until you're all the way done and it's really obvious you don't need them anymore. Okay? All right, so now I need to work with my E for exponents. So 8 is not an exponent, so I leave it. 7 squared is 7 times 7, so that's 49. Minus. Now this is now an exponent, so 5 squared, so 25. And then write the rest of the problem, minus 16. Done with exponents. I look for multiplication and division. There is none. So I look for addition and subtraction. And I can just go from left to right. Okay? So I'm going to do 49 plus 8, 17, 57. minus 25 minus 16. Sometimes I like to do it one at a time. So 57 minus 25. So 32 minus 16, which equals 16. Okay, pretty involved, but kind of once you practice it, you'll get the hang of it. And just realize just because you make a mistake or you get it wrong doesn't mean you don't get the concept at all. It just means you need more practice. Okay, so let's do this last one here in the corner. Hopefully you've already done it. I needed the space, so it's going to be 1 plus 5 squared minus 8. All right, so I get inside of the parentheses on this one because it is my G. And once I'm inside the parentheses, I have to reorder GEMDAS. So look, first of all, I know it sounds crazy, but look for more parentheses. There are none. And then look for exponents, and it's there. So leave your 1 plus because it's outside the parentheses. 5 squared is 25. Leave the negative 8 for a second. Go back through we're still inside the parentheses. That's what's the important part. So we look for multiplication and division inside the parentheses. There is none. We look for addition and subtraction inside the parentheses, and it's there. So 25 minus 8, 8, 9, 10, 15, so 17. Okay, and then we look for everything else. It's pretty obvious at this point there isn't anything else but to do 1 plus 17 and get the answer of 18. Okay, so like I said, these are the types of problems everyone makes mistakes on. I make mistakes. I mean, please let me know when I make mistakes so that we can talk about it. But just realize you're not always going to get the problem perfect on these, but practice it and you will get better. All right, thank you for watching. You'll get your GEMDAS puzzle if you're in my 7th grade white track sometime this week, and good luck.